right. I'm your host, Amon Green. Welcome to the On My Block podcast, Green Bay Packer podcast. And my other host is good friend and teammate, Mike Wallman. Mike, how you doing?
The other host. I feel like
Other host.
Feel like a scorned woman.
No,
You're like your
my
mistress.
co-host. That's what I meant to say.
Just say my mistress. Just call it.
No, my co-host.
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just coming off this another. I say 2022 definitely has a special way about it in terms of all the football that's being played this year.
Mm-hmm.
Teams are coming up out of the bottom of the league and just like they're showing up now. That's what I saw this weekend of football. What about yourself, real quick?
Yeah, same thing, man. I started with the Army-Navy game this weekend where Navy lost in double overtime for the first time ever, and then they fired Coach Kenny Amanalolo after a 4-8 season. Man. Yeah, terrible. Shouldn't have Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was 4-8, but I mean, this guy's like, when you have built the program that he's built,
right,
you deserve some leeway, especially given the fact that COVID, NIL, we don't get to participate in. Portal transfers, we don't get to participate in. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on that he has, he's built up this institution. He's built it on the detail and execution of this option offense. Yeah. Do we need to there's like evolution of everything and certainly, but it just, I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It certainly did with me. He's they're going to be worse off for the next couple of years because they got rid of him. So
yeah,
that started the weekend off on a down note. But
I hear you.
What we didn't talk about was, and we'll talk about it later, but the Baker Mayfield deal.
Oh my God!
On Thursday. Oof.
It was interesting.
That was awesome.
It was. He's off the plane maybe 4 hours, and then boom, he's into a game, or maybe 2 days, if that, in the playbook, and then wins the game. That's just, like I said, this whole season has just been interesting. So with that being said, let me get to this. Our sponsors at BetOnline. So basketball is back, and BetOnline remains our number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. So you'll always find the latest odds, team matchups information, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. As your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, giveaways all season long. So always the fastest, the easiest way to bet on your favorite sport and events, whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, esports, or even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus for the first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BLEAV, BELIEVE, receive your rewards. BetOnline, Mike, where the game starts. So we already started this show, but then let's get into bye-week talk. Not much to talk about. There was no Packer game, but a lot of good football, a lot of interesting football. Like you said, Baker Mayfield starting the week off for week 14.
Listen, the Packers actually increased their chances of making it to the playoffs by like 1.5%. So now they're like 11% odds to make the playoffs. Basically, you have to go 4-0 for the rest of the season. You got the Rams, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Lions. So listen, two of those games, the Dolphins are starting to look more and more beatable. So you start looking at these things now, and maybe there's an opportunity there to catch something. If they win out, the chances are actually pretty good. You kind of see the way everything else is going to fall. Mm-hmm. But it just, like to your point earlier, with all the different teams that are kind of rising up, you see like the Tennessee Titans are having some problems, even though they're going to make the playoffs, like they don't look as good as they should. The playoff pictures, like the NFC East, the NFC least, the NFC East, every single team is in the playoffs right now on the NFC side. So I guess the question is, what is it, do you think? And there's not one thing, but if you could point to a concept, like what is the thing that is separating a lot of these good teams, these playoff teams, from the rest of the heap?
Oh man, I would say one would be, obviously, I say the talent on the field, starting there first. So who's healthy at this point in time, and who's been consistently playing good football from a player standpoint, and then coaching. So that means play calling and scheming, and scheme-wise, like offensively, defensively, what offensive coaches, head coaches, the OCs are running their offensive scheme and staying to it. They create an identity week one or in preseason, and training camp has said, this is our team. We're going to run the ball first, and then we throw it a pass, or we're going to pass the ball. We're going to spread people out. We're going to make matchup problems in the back end. What your identity is. So people that stuck to that didn't get changed off of it come midseason, saying, oh, we got to change it this week and from week to week. And then MAs, errors. Teams that manage. There's going to be mistakes because there's people competing. There's going to be interceptions. There's going to be turnovers. There's going to be coaches that are out-coached on a play. So those teams that can manage those adjustments in all those areas for me, and they come out on top because they are, they're having the mental fortitude to get through it, and just to, and to be that consistent, consistency in the locker room and for their team, basically. So those are the teams that are on top of the league right now. Like, for example, Philadelphia, like they got on their roll, and now they're at a point where they completely dictate what their future is, and they're dominating. I mean, they're winning, but they're doing it in a dominant fashion.
Right.
They get to a point where it's not even cruise control. It's more like it's on cruise control, but we're still going to mash down on the pedal and score points and shut your offense down defensively. That's just one example right there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Listen, no surprise here, but when I'm looking at the AFC and the NFC playoff picture right now, and the unifying thing for, I'd say, I don't know, 12 out of 14 of the top teams is that you talked about identity.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the teams here, their identity is they dominate on one side of the ball on the offensive or defensive line. Buffalo Bills, right? Yep. Obviously, they have Josh Allen.
Yep.
Defensively, number one against the run. Not a coincidence, right?
Nope.
Kansas City Chiefs bulked up their offensive line last year. Good offensive line. Baltimore Ravens, running game. Offensive line. Tennessee Titans, defensive line. Jeffrey Simmons led one of the top teams against the run in football. Cincinnati Bengals do not have a good offensive line, but they upgraded it from last year. But defensively, one of the best and one of the most underrated defensive lines in the NFL. Miami Dolphins, when Miami Dolphins put that young kid Waylon in with Melvin Gordon and now Bradley Chubb, dude, you got big problem. The biggest problem with the Miami Dolphins is they don't get them all three of those guys on the field at the same time.
Right.
So when they get all three of those guys on the field at the same time, it's damn near unblockable. Okay.
It is.
Los Angeles Chargers, the 7th team in the AFC right now, are winning it with the arm of that. That kid is incredible.
I mean, he's special.
We'll talk about him. He's incredible.
Yeah.
Go to the NFC. Philadelphia Eagles, best offensive line in football. Minnesota Vikings, defensive line is the at least at very, very least the best in the NFC North. Yes. San Francisco 49ers defensive line, box players best in football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, kind of out of the discussion, right? But they've had a ton of injuries. But when they're playing well defensively, their box is the best box in, one of the best boxes in football, maybe aside from San Francisco.
Right.
Washington's defensive line, probably best D-tackle tandem in the game. New York Giants, balling out on both sides of football, but strong run presence at the very least on the offensive side. Yep. Seattle Seahawks. I mean, you start going, it's like every one of these teams, man, it's not this. This is how you create, and the pendulum is swinging back. Like we're going back to, if you can't run the ball and stop the run, you better have some box office players in the form of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. We saw what happened last night against those guys. When they're playing against the Chargers and they all of a sudden playing real physical at the line of scrimmage. Like, if you can't do that, the chances of you just relying on this otherworldly quarterback talent are pretty tough. Like, it's super interesting to me that all the teams that we're talking about, or at least the majority of those teams, have an identity, and one of their lines at least is a dominant. In the case of Philadelphia Eagles, both lines are dominant offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, I mean, they go out there, they got their game plan together, and they're executing it, from the start of the game to the end of the game. And then Jalen Hurts, he's been, he's matured, and he's showing his value to the team, and is with his arm and his legs, and that's a problem. And we're going to talk about, the NFC North coming up here in a minute, but it's some players in this division that now are like, oh my God, like, okay, he's been doing this all year. And Jared Goff, you got Justin Fields, he's leading the team in rushing and receiving for the Bears. So, now let's get into that NFC North and what that is looking like, and players and things and all that we want to hit on.
That was a good game yesterday. The Lions, it was funny because the Lions are at home. The Vikings are 10-2. The Lions are favored at home, which everyone's kind of scratching their head. It's like, obviously the odds makers know something that we don't, unless you've been watching tape all year and you're like, okay, this makes sense, because the Lions are dropping 40 burgers all over the field when they're playing in Detroit. So they outlasted the Vikings yesterday, 34-23. It was I watched the tape a couple. I mean, it's a good game, and what I'll say about him is, the Lions offensive line, I always go back, like the Lions offensive line is the best in the NFC North, and we'll show some tape on it. But to your point, Jared Goff, Amon St. Brown, Swift.
Yeah,
actually both the running backs, right?
Clark showed up too.
Chark showed up last. DJ Chark showed up yesterday, right? They're guys. What I think what's separating them right now is one, they are super physical up front. Two, Jared Goff is playing the best football of his career, and he's playing better than anybody else, Packers included, at the quarterback position in the NFC North. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, is put together a game plan, has taught this guy, has worked with this guy to the point where, and Mark Brunell give him a ton of credit for being the quarterback's coach up there, coming out of the box and out of the announcer's box and starting to coach. Like, this guy is playing at an extremely high level. He's not making mistakes. He's getting rid of the ball quickly. That offense is in tune with everything you want. They're playing a ton of 12 and 13 personnel. Like, it just makes sense, everything they're doing. But their running backs and their wide receivers, man, they can turn nothing into something real fast at a pace that most other teams aren't able to keep up with.
Yeah, and some on defensive side, I was watching that defense, man. They were coming downhill. They got a young linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yep.
Man, you talking about – and he's a 5th round, 6th round draft pick.
Dude, starting. He was famous all over what's that training camp? Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks. Not Hard Knocks. I didn't really watch a whole lot of it. I was never a fan of it after the first time they did it. But regardless, I know who this kid is now. I mean, he's filling the gap like a veteran linebacker, like a guy that's been in that backfield, linebacker backfield for 5-6 years. He is coming. He was hitting their running backs a yard behind the line of scrimmage, if not 2 yards. I mean, as soon as he saw the ball exchange from quarterback to the running back, from Kirk Cousins to their running back, boom, right in his face, Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
And that you have to do that with him because he's one of those guys. Even though he's small in stature, he is physical. He will hit you. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of contact. Will not back down. And to keep him contained, most of the game and made him cause a fumble. Things like that. That's a defense that if you don't play consistent football, you don't pay attention to certain things, you will lose. And because of that defense, along with the offense scoring points.
Yeah, no doubt. It was funny. Kelvin Shepard, who was he was a linebacker down in Miami when I was down there. He's now the coach. He coaches on Campbell's staff for the linebackers. During that Hard Knocks show, I never watched Hard Knocks either, but I know all these guys. So I was like, let's check it out, right? And I remember one of the shows, he stops tape. And he's like, hey, let's just call it what it is. Like, this rookie is outplaying everybody in this room because the way he was hitting the hole. And we've talked about it, not with him, but with Isaiah McDuffie and Chris Brown or Chris Barnes all year, especially Isaiah McDuffie. There's a fundamental difference on defense. If your linebacker attacks the gap and hits the hole, makes plays on their side of the line of scrimmage versus sits back, waits, takes on those blocks, and makes tackles 8 yards down the field. There's a fundamental difference in the way you are perceived, and it matters. And I love that you brought up Malcolm Rodriguez because there's a kid who has no reason to be there.
Zero.
And he is playing big time football for a team that is only on the ascent, man. They're playing extremely well right now.
Yeah, because I see that as a running back. Like, we need to deal with that.
He's a problem.
I was like, what are we gonna do with this, coach? Or line? What's up, fullback? What are we doing? To see that pop up on the field.
I wanted to go in and dive into this Detroit Lions line a little bit, just because, look, our offensive line across the last 2 decades, 3 decades, they've had some really good offensive lines in Green Bay. And this line has, I think, potential is a terrible word, but this line has some pieces, there's some makings of some guys, a group that could be really good. They were a lot better last year. But when you talk about identity and when you talk about physical presence, we lack that part of it. Like when we played, like you knew that if we played, you played us, you're going over the pile. You need to check your shoulder because we're coming after you, right? When you played against TJ Lang and those kids, but hey, you mess with one. TJ's coming out swinging like that. That kid was a tough son of a bitch.
He was. I remember. I was with him his rookie year.
Yeah. So these guys, and we'll show a couple different things here, man. But these guys, and it starts with. This sounds silly, but it starts with their tight end. If the mentality's different, all right. And listen, I'm not showing all these plays, AG, that are just dominations, but you just see tight end. holds up against a good player, stays square, and drives him 5 yards back and just keeps fighting. It's just little stuff, right? It's mentality. We don't, there's nobody standing around the pile. And you're not losing technically. Like, you got your technique, so you can assert your personality because your technical is on point.
Right. Exactly.
Now, this is that first deep touchdown. So it's under center play action. So appreciate the pocket.
Yep, it's clean pocket right there.
You see both of these guys, man. So you got turned in for the crosser, and they just completely forgot. They completely forgot about the seam. Bye. I mean, look at dude, when you watch an NFL game, now everybody says how bad the Minnesota Vikings defense has been, right? And like, I think Packers fans are like, wait a second, they beat the hell out of us, But you look at this, you go, dude, when in the NFL do you see a guy open by, I don't know, a quarter of the field?
Yeah, it's like 10, 15 yards right there.
That's no good, bro.
Yeah, and that just tell me, it's no good. It just tell me eye discipline and what they're worried. Who were they worried about? They obviously wasn't worried about him, but they looked at the crosser and probably got their eye discipline. Obviously, it grabbed their vision from that point.
Now, I'll highlight this a couple of times. So we talked about under center play action pass, and just the pocket is so clean here. The pocket is so clean, and he can step into every one of these throws. And this is a recurring theme throughout this entire game. And we know firsthand that it's not like the Minnesota Vikings defensive line can't push the pocket, can't pass rush with Z and Danielle Hunter and all those guys.
Oof. And clear off that right side of the line.
Okay. Watch this.
Yep. Just capsize the whole interior of the D-line.
Talk about Penei Sewell right here. First round pick last year. Look at this.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, but look what he does to this guy. I mean, this is big. This is box office stuff, right?
Yep.
And then,
oh my goodness, gets to a linebacker, a good linebacker too, in his stuff, right in his chest. That's what you want.
This is when we talk about physically dominating your opponent. It's not just that he's a super athlete, right?
Right.
It's the mentality. If you watch the game, it's the mentality that they bring to the game that's the differentiator.
Yep. And
go ahead.
We got Jamal Williams, who was a player and starter here in Green Bay. That's almost to 1,000 yards.
And talk about Jamal, though. Jamal is, again, he's like the perfect Detroit Lion, I think, in the sense that he's not the best athlete, but he's like Damian. We had this dude Damian Williams down in Miami,
right?
And he was a running back, second string running back, special team stud, but just tough. It's like one word, dog.
Yeah,
right.
And we know in all football, all athletes know when you say dog, what you mean by that.
Jamal Williams is a dog. Like, how many of those guys? You cannot have enough of those guys on your team, right?
No, exactly.
So we see up top, he stacks. Huge
once
play.
He got stacked this game over. That was no, it wasn't Patrick. That was somebody else.
No, that was Cam Dantzler.
Oh, Dantzler. Yep.
Okay, Jamal Williams, dog. Hey, new protection scheme. Okay, we're gonna slide to the left. We're gonna leave Penei Sewell on his own, but we're gonna take the running back, insert him into the backside B gap. He's got the inside chip, so he's got linebacker to inside chip. Easy. Now that didn't make any difference on this play, but that makes a huge difference on the next play. Because now that D tackle is like, oh, AG is going to hit me in the ribs if I try to go outside.
Exactly.
I don't want that at all. That is a huge difference in the way these guys. That's how you slow down a pass rush without doing anything.
Exactly. Yeah, because I know when I've caught guys in the ribs or just a nice little bump in that chip, great catch there to finish in the end zone. It stays in a D lineman's, linebacker, outside linebacker's brain. Some either get where they're like, okay, I'm gonna come hit you first, which I've had. They come to me, they're like, you want a chip? All right, here we go. Or they slow down. They slow that rush down because the ribs are getting sore, or the side is getting sore, or something, because it's been going on for 3 quarters. So,
they're doing you a favor. Either way, they're doing us or they're doing collectively us a favor, right? Because it's like I always try to tell young offensive linemen now. I go, if I can get the D tackle or the linebacker to worry about me versus worrying about making the play, that's all that matters. Nothing. You can get as mad as you want. You could try to fight me. You could try to talk. What if you're thinking about me and me knocking you over the pile, or you hitting the guy in the ribs? You ain't thinking about doing your job.
100%. and then it makes your job a lot easier. A lot easier.
So there's a couple things going on here. They got shotgun motion. Play action with a pull.
With a motion too.
Yeah, motion, but they're pulling that guard, so you get that good sell. Now, I think this is Amon St. Brown on the bottom here versus Patrick Peterson. Look at him come back for that route. I mean, really, really fantastic route. This guy's becoming a huge player.
Yeah, he helps his quarterback out by coming back to the ball. That's awesome.
Now, check out our tight end coming in. As you think to yourself, like, okay, so it's play action, but still the linebacker's got that hook curl area, right? He's not there, so the guy can come back to the ball. Why? They're just scheming this really, really smart. Bang out Kendricks on the way out. Easy throw, right?
Yeah, it opens that window. So that opens that zone. If it's zone, it looks like it's zone, but it's man, I think. But it opens that window for Goff when he drops back there. Hendricks, he's a smart quarterback because he'll see between the motion going backside. He's not dumb. He's not going to fall for the banana and tailpipe. He's going to look at the motion of the running back, takes him. See, he's already going towards the play.
Yep.
You see him. He's already going towards the play. But with that bump, that pushes him back. It keeps him where he's at. And then it actually forces him to go back because now he knows, okay, I got a tight end that maybe I'd be right behind me. So let me float to try to undercut him and not think about the receiver on the outside. So
you see by the time they get rid of this confrontation, he's backed up 5 yards.
Yep.
And he's gone inside by 2. And all of a sudden this window's wide open.
Beautiful. So he has 2 options. He has Amon St. Brown, or he has Jamal Williams on the flat right here, or the running back. I know that's Jamal. That's the other running back that scored, Jackson.
Jackson right there. And again, man, like these pockets are super clean. Like you just don't see like there. If I went through the entire game, you can find a couple plays where there are free rushes, like their center right guard. I think the right guard's their backup right now. They do get beat in this game. I'm not going to say that this is completely clean, but the majority of these big plays, like when you're running like 2-man routes, dude, they are wide open and they're just nobody to pressure Jared Goff. He just has all the time in the world to step into his throws. So you look here. We're running 13 personnel, and they see this. This is a recurring theme with these guys. They're running 12 and 13 all the time. They're playing to their strengths, and you see they got a 7-man box. They're going to bring a guy down, so they have an 8-man box. But
that's a lot of
you just look at the way that these guys attack. I mean, hips engaged. Penei Sewell here is going to drive this guy over the pile. Again, this isn't a big run, man, but this is single block, left guard, left tackle, single blocks. Right tackle, tight end, hand on, really a single block. The only double is the center and the right guard to the backer.
Yep.
And the only guy that can make the play is the safety. He makes it. But you just see they push the pile. This is an easy 5-yard gain, dude. And this is what they're doing because their mentality is, hey, everyone's going to end up on the ground. This is what we want.
Yeah. And I like that. Maybe saw the cut to the right there. He could have jump cut into Sewell's whole block outside of him.
Yeah,
and get north again, but he still picked up yards. He's still positive. Good job with the blitz pickup.
So you see this play. I just wanted to highlight this, man, because they're just disciplined, right? And it just carries over to everything you're doing. And this is kind of one of the knocks, I think, last year when Dan brought his staff in, is like they didn't play with a lot of discipline. You see, and even early in the season when they were 1-6, you're going, okay, this team is just bad. They're not playing with any discipline.
Right.
When you're running this deep out, the key is they're running a single high safety. So this cornerback up here on the top right is going to funnel inside. He's going to turn his chest in the middle of the field, but you have to stay on the numbers because you have to create that space. You got to stay on the top of the numbers here. You don't need to fake. You don't need to do any body movement. You just need to run straight at the top of the numbers until this guy flips. As soon as he flips, break down, hit it outside. Quarterback sees it. Bang, bang. And just again, these guys are wide. I mean, for an NFL throw, this guy's wide open, man.
Yeah, it's an easy toss for Jared Goff. He's been doing that since he was a Ram, so he could get it in there real clean.
The thing about Goff that everybody doesn't maybe appreciate is like he was the second pick in the draft for a reason. He's got a cannon.
Yeah,
it was kind of the processing, and Sean McVay was. Telling him exactly where he had to go with the ball, what call to make, and this and that and the other thing. And like, does that make you look good in the short term, but maybe retard your growth in the long term? Like, who's to say? That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But certainly the tool set that Mark Brunell and then is helping him develop. And then obviously the play calling we talked about with Ben. he just looks really good.
No, he was on point. I caught a few games, this game and then last week's game too, where he's standing in the pocket because he has the protection, and they just have that confidence behind the throw as well because he knows exactly where he needs to go with the ball.
Under center play action, pull to guard again, and you see in this position right here, there's really nobody, no white jersey on the screen that you're like, oh, he might get to Jared Goff right now. So you can run these deeper 15-yard, 20-yard outs, and you can run them with confidence.
5 to 7.
Yeah.
5 to 7 step drop with a hitch. Sometimes depends on the routes out there and on the back end. They can do that now.
We talk about the mentality of this team and how they play physical. I just want to show you a wide receiver. And this is how you block for your running back.
I love this. I love seeing this right here.
And you understand. I mean, he didn't even slow down, dude.
Nope.
I mean, he just plants him another 5 yards back.
Yeah, and that's a touchdown too. That helped.
Yeah. And what you see on these kind of plays, man, is young receivers out there, young football players, like, don't try to measure guys. Just run right through them.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're in open field and it's going to be a fast play and you got a guy running, just aim for the hip, run right through them. You making them move is going to do damage, right? They either got to hit you or they got to move.
They got to avoid you.
Yeah. So you see things, from a schematic standpoint, they're back into 12 personnel, they motion over, and you can see the Minnesota Vikings are in like a really bad situation because they were running initially. They were running their over defense with a shade or 2-eye, depending on what you want to call that, over the left guard. And then then they were running a 5 or a 7 technique off the tackle. Once you bring that tight end over, he's a 9. That is a monster space right there. So basically, if you look inside of number 98, I'm just looking at this from an offensive line, how to block stuff. Like, this could not be easier, right? So let's say we're all just trying. This is like the old kick play. We're trying to wash everybody down. We're going to bring the tight end across the ball on the other side to take out 98. There is literally nobody else to make the play except for the cornerback because he's going to read off the crack block to tackle, right?
And he's 5 to 10 off the ball. Yeah. So that's going to be a positive game regardless.
So you look at this easy block down. I mean, right there, this play could not right now look any better. The crack replace cornerback is off the screen to the right. Again, we're talking about Cam Dantzler right there. He's going the wrong direction. He's 10 yards deep. He has no chance to make this play. You watch a little bit of tape and you go, dude, I'll run this play every chance I get. That's all you can eat.
Yeah, you want leverage. I remember this play too. This is great.
And I had to put this in because,
of course, I knew you were going to put it in.
Obviously, Big Trent made this popular last year against the Packers. You going in motion and then lambasting. I think it was Sean Gary on that play, and then I think they came back and did it again, and we stopped them. But they put Penei Sewell in the backfield, run motion, and then look at the fleet-footed up. Smart enough to get down, doesn't fall out of bounds.
Right.
This is offensive line play, AG, at its finest.
Yes,
smart, tough football players.
Yep.
That kid is turning into a special athlete, man.
Yeah. The Nimrod right there trying to strip the ball out. I'm like, boy, you're down and you're fighting with an offensive lineman. What you think? You think you're gonna win that fight? No.
I'll tell you that Lions team is looking really, really good.
Yeah, and the thing about that is once the postseason gets here, it's a new season. Everybody's at 0. That's what every coach I've heard. I've been in meetings when coaches said that. Regardless if you're top of the division or if you're middle and you're gonna be wild card, it's a new season. So those Detroit Lions is going to be the team you probably don't want to play in the first round.
And they still might not make it. I mean, they're like 6 and 7, right? But I'm 100% agreement with you. Like, there's a reason they were favored yesterday, and rightfully so.
Right.
Right now they're playing the best football of anybody in the NFC North. If they can sustain it and all of it, I don't know. But it kind of led to a question that, I was just kind of thinking about, and we could have asked this at any point, and the answer wouldn't have. I don't think they would have been that different, but. Let's go through the different positions on offense and defense, position groups for the NFC North, and just see where you think that the Packers rank. Okay, I'll read them out to you. Let's start with offense. So let's start with offense. Let's start we already said the Detroit Lions are the best offensive line in the NFC North, unless you disagree with me.
No, I don't disagree with you.
But,
better than me.
but after that, you got the Vikings with Christian Darrisaw when he's healthy. Right now, Brendan Blake's in there. Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Brian O'Neill's Ed Ingram's the rookie, and then Brian O'Neill's a good right tackle. They just paid some money to. Like, they're probably second best. I mean,
Yeah.
are the Packers maybe the third best offensive line right now in the NFC North? I'm not going to say they're worse than the Bears, but
yeah.
I think they're probably the third best.
I'll say they're probably the third best. I mean, from a stats wise, I'm looking at rushing running back. So right now, Justin Fields is ahead of Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
he has 905 and Aaron has 847. Even though he's split.
The Bears. Well, so David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, like those guys are. I think they're top guys, and they've committed to the run.
Yeah, they're 6
so it's
and
like
6 there.
The problem with the problem with the Bears, if you start talking about their offensive line, is like, dude, they really can't pass block, and so they're kind of purpose built right now with that RPO game to get Justin Fields off and everything. But if you look at Dalvin Cook's got 900. Dalvin Cook will be over 1,000 yards coming up. He's averaging 4.8.
Yeah, he's at 950.
Right. They've pass blocked. They've kind of done it all. They're vastly improved. They brought in Coop. They brought in Coop from he was the offensive line coach or the assistant offensive line coach at Denver. Okay. He used to play with Denver, and now he's coaching up here. He's done a really good job improving the technique of these guys. But
got it, and that's all it is. That's important.
From a running, this is kind of a hard one, dude. So you take it. So running backs, we got Jones and AJ Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings, Dalvin Cook, Madison, and CJ Hamilton. Fullback, DeAndre Swift.
Yep.
When healthy, and Jamal Williams for the Lions, and then you got Montgomery, Tristan Ebner, Khalil Herbert's hurt now, but probably the most stacked off room in all the NFC North is the running back room.
Yeah, it's very stacked. That's a tough one. I mean, looking at a healthy Bears running backs, and then you match those Bears running backs with Jamal and AJ, or with Aaron and AJ, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And Detroit, Jamal and DeAndre Swift. I mean,
and then you forget like Delvin.
And not even bring up Delvin. Delvin's kind of by himself, really. He has a lion's share of carries and yards. Matheson is way behind with like 173 right now, and so I would say I would still put Aaron and AJ up number one, but then right behind them is Detroit, and then Detroit, Bears, Detroit.
I would say Bears. I agree.
Yeah, and then Delvin. He's
and you're probably the only show that would ever rank Dalvin Cook the worst room in Minnesota. You know what I mean?
Because it's just him. You said
no, I'm not.
And it's not that. Yeah, because he's not. Like I want him. I would want him. Obviously in my backfield.
He might be the first. He might be the first pick. If you had to pick one guy, he might be the first pick. He might maybe DeAndre Swift, maybe Aaron Jones, but he's Dalvin Cook's different now.
And I say that I agree with you on that first pick because he's a guy as you would know as a coach. If I needed one running back for the whole season, he's my guy because he's dealt with injury. He can fight through. He's dealing with a shoulder now. I think he's dealt with a shoulder every year. About this time of the year, and he's still out there running very hard, and he's not even maybe 200 pounds, if that. So that's where he separates himself from the other guys. The other guys have been tested from games from time to time, like Aaron Jones was out last game, so AJ Dillon got lion's share of the carries, and so he showed up that he could take it if he needs to, if the team needs him to do it.
Tight end, this is tough because like Cole Kmet is a tight end that can kind of do both. He's not box office, but he can do both.
And he's been showing up last couple of weeks.
Brock Wright for the Lions. Obviously, TJ Hawkinson going from the Lions to the Vikings, he's probably the best. But then you got Tunyon, and then we kind of have to go Tunyon and Mercedes. And if we want to even be part of this discussion, Hawkinson's easily the best tight end as far as doing everything. He's the best receiver, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I don't know. Cole Kmet's around there somewhere. I'm guessing these guys I'm guessing we're third.
I would say around, that's a fair assessment. I think overall we'd probably be third all around, just about in some areas.
Well, it's like you just saw the Detroit Lions. You saw what they can do
Yeah, with their
running 12 and 13 personnel, running, play action pass, the run game. They can finish their blocks. So, it's not like this is that one position we talked about last week where we're not getting kind of the offensive production that beginning of the season. Yeah. I mean, I think those guys are trying. We haven't gotten production like numbers wise that we would love to see out of that.
You still talking about tight ends?
Yeah.
Okay. So, gotcha.
So we'll say they're probably third. So we got, to recap, third offensive line, first running backs, third tight ends. Then we got wide receiver. So we know that Watson's just come up. He's got 400 yards on the year with 7 touchdowns. Allen Lazard's actually got the most yards on our team, 620 yards with 5 touchdowns. So we got Watson, Lazard, Cobb, and Torre and Dobbs. But listen, Thielen, Jefferson, KJ Osborne, show's over. They're the best. Right?
Yep. Justin Jefferson, he does, as we've seen. Not only he's at 1,500 for the season, but
for the season, dude, he's gonna get 2,000 yards, man.
Right. I mean, but the catches, that's where he separates, and he has a mentality. He has that mentality. As we mentioned earlier, he's the dog. He's one of those dogs. Yes. He's a little dog, but he's scrappy. If you hit him, he's gonna come at you harder.
Here's a hard truth though, right? Now, we know the Packers wide receivers, dude, DJ Chark, Amon-Ra St. Brown,
right,
and Josh Reynolds, dude. Amon-Ra St. Brown is legit. Like he's the real deal. He can win any number of ways. He's strong after the catch. Mm-hmm. He would be, I think, in the entirety of the NFC North, he's the number 2 receiver in the NFC North behind Justin Jefferson. I don't see how he's anything less than that.
Easy. I agree. He's obviously he's downsized in terms of height, but he has the effort, the IQ, and intangibles that you want because, obviously his size, people could say, oh, he's a small receiver. He's not. So what? And he has the speed on top of that. And so everything since his rookie year, he's been showing up on the football field, period, on the tape. So there you go.
What do you think? So probably 3 again here, right? After the Vikings and the Lions.
Easy. Yeah.
I wouldn't even bring up the Browns. They had Claypool. I mean, Neil Harry.
Oh, you mean Chicago? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the Bears. Yeah. So then quarterback, probably the one that Rodgers, Cousins, Goff, Fields. Now, lifetime. This is super easy.
Yeah, lifetime. That's easy.
This year, let me give you the stats. Okay. Yeah. Kirk Cousins thrown for 3,358 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks. Justin Fields, 1,896 yards, 13 touchdowns, 10 picks. We know what he does on the running side too, though, right? From a rushing, he's 905 yards and then 8 touchdowns rushing, averaging 7 yards a rush. Jared Goff, 3,352 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks, by far the best stats.
Yes.
Or him and Cousins, 1-1A. Rodgers, 28-64, 22 and 9. So a lot of touchdowns. Yeah. Interceptions are tied for second lowest, right? With Kirk Cousins. Less numbers, obviously not the same kind of year that he likes to have. It's tough to say. It's tough to say in any given year that Jared Goff's better than Aaron Rodgers, but I would say this year Jared Goff is having a better season than Aaron Rodgers, and it might be because of the people around him, might be because of this, that, and the other thing. But from a statistics standpoint, from hitting open receivers, from getting the ball out on time, everything, I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers isn't number 1 here. I'm just going to say this is a tough one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. And like you said, overall, we know where to go. But at this moment, we're talking this week here, this season, these situations right now, who has the hot hand? Jared Goff. Yeah. He has a hot hand, has the team behind him that's doing the work, linemen giving him a clean pocket, running backs doing their job, receivers catching the ball and just, making plays. The same kind of with Minnesota, even though they've been down a couple weeks, people kind of caught up to them, but they still, call it with their defense. It's giving their defense fits. But offensively, they have shown, through the run game and the pass game, they have their identity. They know who they are. They start with the run with Dalvin, get what they can, then boom. Guess what? We got this guy number 18 running around that's going to do anything to catch the ball. He will, he almost caught one. He almost had another one yesterday, another one-handed one that was would have been a first down conversion. Still would have been an amazing catch if he completed it. But like I said, having that identity They know who they are. That's one less thing you got to think about when you break that huddle offensively or defensively. Oh, what am I doing? No, you already know what you're doing because you've been doing it for 15 weeks straight. So that's why Detroit and Minnesota are in the positions they are right now.
It's so hard. So it's like, let me just caveat that too with the quarterback thing, because we know Aaron Rodgers is by far the best quarterback in this league. But it's tough when you watch, like when we just watched the tape, and you see DJ Chark stack the number 2 DB for the Minnesota Vikings and then beat him by 4 yards, or you see Amon-Ra St. Brown like get open on the deep out deep out of the comeback, and he's open by 7 yards. It's like, Peterson. Dude, when is anybody on our team open by 7 yards? It just doesn't happen. Or literally the free receiver, I think it was Josh Reynolds, right on the first touchdown we showed. It's like it's one of those years where you're like, dude, we know, like, nothing seems easy. Nothing seems that easy. And so maybe for Aaron, it's like, we need every once in a while, even the best in the world need a couple freebies,
Yeah, give them something, help them out.
All right, let's go to defense. So really, let's talk about it. We're kind of either number 1 or number 3 in everything offensively. Like, you don't have the makings of the top team, because we talked about it earlier. Like, the number 1 thing you need to look for aside from the quarterback is probably that offensive line, and we're probably 3rd in the division.
Right.
Let's go to
defense. Fair assessment.
Let's go to defense, right? I split out defensive tackles, then with edge guys, so offense or outside linebackers and defensive ends. So defensive tackles, we know we have Kenny, Jaron Reed, Dean Lowry, and then TJ Slayton or Devontae Wyatt. He's been playing a little bit more. Vikings, Harrison Phillips, Dalvin Tomlinson, James Lynch. Lions, Bugs McNeil. You don't know either of those guys. Bears, Jones, Watson, Blackson. I would say, from our experience, that the Vikings, like, I would rather play the Green Bay Packers interior guys than the Vikings interior guys. I'll just look at it that way. I think the Vikings interior guys would give me personally more problems than the Packers guys would. And I do think Kenny Clark is most of the time. Kenny Clark would be the top dog here.
Yeah,
but Harrison Phillips, those guys, especially against us, played extremely well. Harrison Phillips played extremely well. Dalvin Thompson, and so I can't overlook what they, in a head-to-head matchup, what they look like.
Yeah, it's just something where you look at the teams that have been down in this division for years, and that gets to a player, that gets to a coach. It may not get to the people running the organization. Obviously, they'll try to do their best through draft and free agency. But when you're at the bottom of the barrel, you're licking it. Eventually, players, veterans be like, hey, man, look, this is where we've been at. I'm ready to get out of here. Let's do what we need to do, technique-wise, effort-wise, confidence-wise, envision us dominating other teams in our division. Don't worry about the rest of the NFC right now. Just worry about the Packers, the Lions, or the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings. Let's worry about them, or vice versa. Other teams in the division. Let's kick everybody's butt in this division, because for the Lions, as we know, it's been a long time where they've been up front. Vikings, they've been right there on the cusp, but defense fails or offense fails. Bears, just again, in the last 10 years, Bears have just been not there, consistently. So now those teams, those organizations are kind of getting right, not becoming, as what we say, what's the word? Can't get rights or whatever, or sea biscuits or whatever. They've been not there, but now they're getting there because they're understanding the work ethic, the accountability, and what it feels like when you are dominating somebody. That's something that I think doesn't get told. This doesn't get spoken about enough.
I agree.
When you're winning and dominating, and what that feels like from a more of a not a, from
a drug.
It'd be like, oh my God, this is a whole.
It's a drug.
This is a whole different feel. We just beat the Packers at their field or on the road, whatever. We beat the Lions like this, or we beat the Bears. And it's in our division where it counts double towards the playoff race. And because we look at the NFC East, even though they're all in the playoffs, the Giants haven't beat none of the teams in the division. They're 3-1 and they have a tie. So that's going to hurt them going to the playoffs. But in this division, we right now is different. We see who leading the pack is the Vikings, and then the Detroit's right behind them, and Packers are third there, and then it's the Bears. So it's just a long time now, and it's kind of flipping. And this is us experiencing it and watching it right now.
Yeah, and I just thought it was an interesting, this is kind of interesting exercise because you always think you have these ideas of what you think your team's like, but then you start look down the street, look at your neighbors, look at defensive end, outside linebackers. Now, if Rashawn Gary is healthy, this is a different conversation. But Preston Smith, Enigbari, and Garvin versus Danielle Hunter and Za'Darius Smith, are you like, really?
No,
that's a no-brainer, right?
Yep.
Aiden Hutchinson, John Kaminsky, those guys. Gibson and Muhammad and Taco Charlton, Dominique Robinson over in Chicago, like they're not bad, dude.
No.
Those are all. So we went from this is probably our strength. I don't know if we're better than seeing Danielle Hunter. Those guys are really good.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but that was our strength, and all of a sudden because Gary goes out, now it's a bit of a different thing. But if you can project forward next year, if we're going to keep Preston Smith, all this stuff, this should be a strength of our team. Preston has definitely been a strength on this defense, a shining light on this defense solid this year. Yep. He's been one of the few guys that every week in and week out, he just shows up to play.
Yeah.
Inside linebacker, kind of same thing. So we drafted for the futures. We have Devondre Campbell, who had a great year last year. Quay Walker drafted, learning the game.
Learning the game on the road.
We have two guys that we like. Two guys that we like, Isaiah McDuffie and Chris Barnes, a la Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Right? But then you go down to Detroit. They got Malcolm, who we love. Now, he might not be able to do everything that Quay can do, but we love the way that he plays. And they got Alex Anzalone, right? So these guys are good, but Minnesota, Jordan Hicks is hurt, but Jordan Hicks and Kendricks, like they're the class of the league. There's no question about it.
Yeah, very much respect here in Chicago.
Man, that Wisconsin kid, Jack Sanborn, Jack Lambert.
Yep, there you go. They were throwing that name around there. Interesting stat I heard about Za'Darius. He's been on 5 consecutive NFC or AFC championship teams, or divisional champion, or something like that.
I believe it, man. That's what he brings.
So this is an interesting stat. So that says a whole lot about what he brings to a team in the locker room. Yeah.
If we just talked about all the box guys, and we're kind of like either we can argue if we're 1 or 1A or B or 2 in all those, right? Unlike the offensive side. Now let's get to the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Safety. So we got Harrison Smith's hurt, but you got Harrison, you got Cameron Bynum, Theo Jackson. Harrison would immediately vaunt, I think, the Vikings to the top of the list.
Yes. Yeah.
Deshaun Elliott and Kirby Joseph for the Lions have not played great ball, but they're both young. And then you got a number of guys. So the Lions and the Bears are playing rookies, playing second, third year guys. And then we got Amos. Maybe we found something here in Rudy Ford.
Yep, and Nixon.
Well, so Nixon's actually playing now. He's playing that nickel because Savage got hurt.
Gotcha.
So he's playing that nickel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right, but they took Savage out of that rotation. Amos has always been a good player in the National Football League, but this is kind of an interesting one as far as with Smith hurt. I don't know, but I don't think anybody who's like a Packers fan is sitting there like thumping their chest like, "Oh, we got the best safeties in the division."
Right. No, it's not. Unfortunate. It's none of that going on. It's just you got when Savage was in, he could tell he needed some help with eye discipline, play recognition, and assignment, and even the guy who's healthy, who's been assigned, knowing where to go.
You just said football. You just said football.
Right, but then I got another guy. This is where it shows there's a lot going on in the Packers locker room, because you got a top tier healthy Zaire Alexander still having communication problems. So it says a lot, or it shows a lot when you have players like that. That's trying to relay a message to their coworker, and they're not getting it. They're not understanding, or they don't hear you, or they don't know what's coming. When they instinctively should know it's cover 3. The guy's going out of my zone. He's coming to you. So if you don't hear me, you should automatically know what you should do. What your job is to do when that receiver's crossing over the middle.
It's crazy if you think about I'll just list these names: Jay Alexander, Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas. Then you got Savage at Nick. So first round pick Savage at nickel corner, or Nixon. Okay, that in any division you go, okay, well you got 3 first rounders. feel pretty good about this.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know, like Patrick Peterson, Jandon Sullivan, Cam Dantzler for Minnesota, Jerry Jacobs, Okudah, Will Harrison, Mike Hughes for the Lions. And then the Bears again are just playing like puppy dogs, like the young kids.
Yeah.
Learn how to Kyler Gordon, learn how to play this game. This should be where we're by far we're the best group there, but not in a difference making way this season, right? So you could be the top group, but it's like, how are you being the top group getting W's for your team? And I think I think if you looked at the makeup of this, so we just went through the entire non-special teams part of our roster,
right? And
you look at this, bro, and you're like, okay, we know we have the best quarterback, but he's not had the best year, even though he's got great numbers. We can argue whether or not we have the best running back room, but we have to be honest and say it probably is like 1A, and 1B. Like there's 3 rooms that are really good, right? Or maybe 4 rooms because they're all really good. And defensively, maybe our defensive tackle, you just start looking at this and going like, the one place where it's most obvious that we should be the best is probably cornerback, and it's not earning us W's.
No,
and it's hurt us. It's just.
I was gonna say it's hurt us more than anything, unfortunately, this season. Unfortunately, so sounds good.
That's interesting, man. I'm glad we did that because I always sit there. I always sit there and go, well, are we being realistic here about the kind of talent that we have that we procured, right? It was, and then a lot of that stuff you talk about the Goff Rodgers thing. It was like, well, Ben Johnson and Mark Brunell have done one heck of a job with Jared Goff, and that's why that's one of the reasons he's playing so well, and he's surrounded by a ton of talent. Exactly. I do have some get off my lawn stuff here, man. You want to hit it?
Yeah, let's hit it. Hit it.
So first one is, and these are more quarterback questions because we were talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So Mike White loses the game, but has another good showing. What more does Mike White have to do to make the Jets starting quarterback and get rid of Zach Wilson, who I think by our old head standards is like, I really don't want to deal with this kid.
Yeah. And I feel that Robert Saleh is that old head mentality. He's that old school physical type of coach. That's how he coached his team up. And so I don't think Zach Wilson's time is I think Zach Wilson's time is coming up short. Because of his comment and then obviously gameplay, and then now you got Mike White or Mark White? Is it Mark or
Mike White?
Mike, having really good football, doing really good football. Like you said, regardless of loss, played well, still threw the ball around well. It's a competing game. Guys going to do their job to help try to win for the other team too. But when you see that as a coach, then you go like, oh man, we got business decisions to make here very soon. So.
No
That's
doubt.
where I'm at on that.
Mike White in the loss, 27 of 44 for 268, no picks, no touchdowns, right? So not losing the game for the team, obviously, when there's more points on the board, but they're playing the Bills. Tough game, etc.
That's it. Yeah, it's the Bills.
Okay. So moving on, Deshaun Watson gets the all the lawsuits.
Yeah,
$250 million guaranteed contract for the Browns. He's playing what let's just call it losing football for Cleveland.
Yeah,
he's playing losing football. They were winning. They are now not winning, and they scored 10 points against the Bengals, who have a great defense. I mean, look, they have great defensive line, but come on, let's not act like you should score more than 10 points against the Bengals. The Browns they've dropped 2. They were 5-6. Now they're 5-8. They were in the race. Now they're out of the race. Is it like, do we go back to Jacoby Brissett, or is this another deal? Kind of with the Zach Wilson ownership's going like, dude, we drafted Zach Wilson first. Dude, we just paid this guy $250 million guaranteed. Like he's playing. Like, what do you do if you're the coach here, bud?
Oh man, yeah, this is a tough one. I say first option would probably go with Jacoby because he's been on the field and that's what the team has been used to. That's been the normality of things throughout the season, and probably Deshaun being on the shelf this long, he got a ton of rust to work off of. I can't hold him to say, "Oh man, why are you not playing good ball?" But you've been on I've been on the shelf for almost 2 years. Timing, all that it takes time to come back. 2 weeks of football at the quarterback position. You at the pro level, you're not gonna in 2 weeks like I said,
it don't make any sense, right?
It doesn't.
He's been out for 2 years. It don't make any sense. Like it almost. And I know he works with, I think, Quincy Avery, the quarterback's coach.
Yes.
Right, the quarterback guy. So it's like it's not. He's been putting in work, but it's
different.
It's different.
It's always different. Football.
And he probably. Let's be honest. With all the stuff he went through, it's just like you're seeing Tom Brady, and it's not even near this. I shouldn't even said that. But when you have off the field issues, they leak onto the field. You can't help it. And his off the field issues are a big.
The whole world knows.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's not like nuisance, disturbance is not the right word. Like that is he's sitting on a damn nuclear bomb.
Yes.
And you're out here trying to complete a pass on 3rd and 21. It's like, come on, man. You got other stuff to deal with.
So
like if I'm that guy, dude, I'm literally like, you know what? I got to get my life right. I'm just going to take a step back. You can have whatever money you want, dude. I want to get my life right. Whatever happens with these lawsuits, I can't go on. Me personally, if I had all that stuff going on, I know sometimes like you see like Kobe went through that stuff and it was like it was a sanctuary, man. With this guy, it just feels different than that.
Yeah. So either take a step away or just say, hey, coach, start Jacoby. I'm not doing it right now. We got off season coming up real quick, and hopefully there's no playoff run right now, but you got to look for the as a organizational leader, you got to figure out what's best for the team and go.
That's why the Browns are like always bad, though. Not to harp on the Browns. This is why the Browns are always bad. The Browns have championship level talent at a number of positions, but they make these they always make the decision where you're like, dude, why are you doing that? Why would anybody pick this guy up, give him that contract? It makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, we haven't had a good quarterback. Dude, find somebody else.
There's other quarterbacks out there.
I'm not a Russell Wilson fan, but bro, I would have took Russell Wilson over him.
That would have been a good option. And you got a run game.
Not for the talent. Not for the talent. For everything else, I would have. For all of this nonsense, for looking like a bunch of fools. All right, we got the Niners. Hey, look, the Niners beat the brakes off the Bucs.
Yes, I watched that game.
Purdy engineers 5 touchdowns. Look, pedestrian day, throws 21 passes, has 180 some yards or whatever.
And a rushing touchdown as well.
But plays well, but they run for over 200 yards. Defense does what their defense does.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question. Do you think that Purdy is the Super Bowl answer for them? Because they look really good.
When I first started, so I'm watching the game, and to answer your question, I say yes, and this is why. I'm gonna go back in the history. When I was a kid watching the Reds, they were the Redskins at that time. Doug Williams was the quarterback. When they went to Super Bowl, they had a rookie running back, Timmy Williams.
I remember
that showed up during that playoff run for the Washington team, and everybody was skeptical because their starting running back Ernest Biner got hurt or wasn't playing well or doing something, and they were all worried about Timmy Williams. Not, he's a rookie. What is he? They're starting him in the Super Bowl and NFC Championship game. What's going to happen? Hey, and sometimes if you got the right coach, Kyle Shanahan is that coach. Yeah, he's been enough places to say to a player, "Hey, man, look, this is what you got. I just want you to pitch and catch. That's it. Don't worry about who you're playing for. Don't worry about who you replace."
It kind of reminds you of when Roethlisberger was a rookie and they had the bus and they had a great offensive line, and they're like,
pressure
"Hey, Roth,
is not on you."
Yeah, Ben, you're going to throw the ball 18 times, dude. So just don't screw it up. You know what I mean? And they're going to be like you said, play action, pitch and catch, quick passes. Like this is not long handoffs. Don't overthink this.
Exactly. As a coach, your job is to take when you have that situation with a rookie player like that in a commanding position. So running back, quarterback, wide receiver, center. Hey, we're taking the pressure off you. You got teammates that's going to support you. We just need you to do 2 things: snap the ball, hand it off, and then throw it. Or 3 things: snap the ball, hand it off, and throw it. That's it. We're going to make sure the play is set up that no matter the coverage, it's going to work. No matter, you don't have to do a whole lot of reading and digesting and processing. Your teammates, we're going to show them what to do on their side. Receivers to make adjustments. They'll make the adjustments. Just throw the ball if they're open. That's it. So you take it, make simple football. That's where you take the pressure off a guy like Purdy to go on in, and then you're already an athlete. We know you're at this level. We drafted you for a reason because we saw things in you at the college level. But we're going to now let you go. Don't worry about nothing. Play football. You're smart. You know you can play smarts football. Obviously, you see a guy double covered, don't throw the ball. Take the sack or throw it out of bounds. those type of decisions. But then from that standpoint, we got it from here as a coaching staff, and as your teammates too. We got your back.
Yeah, well said. Last one here for me. I watched the game last night, the Dolphins-Chargers game.
Yeah, I watched part of that too.
Yeah. So it, like, I love Mike McDaniel. I love what he's doing with that offense. I think Tua Tagovailoa is he has great. It's like everybody says about him, right? He has great anticipation on his throws.
Yep, they were talking a lot about that last night.
Justin Herbert is like on a different planet.
I agree.
Than Tua Tagovailoa, and this is not an insult to one or the other. I'm just saying, this is for people out there to like try to get clicks and do all this stuff and talk about, like, Justin Herbert is on a different planet than most of these other dudes. Like the way he can sling. Do you see that long handoff he got to Keenan Allen on the quick out?
Yeah,
like, are you kidding? People don't throw that ball.
No.
Like that's impossible. It's a possible throw, and he does it on the regular.
Yeah.
And you look at Tua, and you just be like, I've watched a ton of Miami team because I know a bunch of dudes on Miami staff. Tua is a great anticipating throws. He's got good touch. You saw it last night. There are multiple plays every single week where he throws the ball to the fastest dude on the field, and the fastest dude on the field, the other guy falls down.
Yeah.
He
panics.
He's open by 15 yards. Like, these plays happen, and it's like someone's got to throw the ball, and like they've done it in other places, and it hasn't worked. So credit to him.
Right.
But this isn't a Tua's bad thing, but let's not sit here and Justin Herbert is on a different planet than some of these other cats, man. Yeah. The way he can throw that, the way he can deliver the ball, and he can run, and he's 6'5", and he's got the vision. Like, I always do this, right? AG, just hear me out. One more thing.
Right.
I always do this. If you put Justin Herbert with Mike McDaniel in that offense, what do those numbers look like? Like, are you kidding me?
Problem. What I've always said to Justin from the time he was born in the NFL, what happened? He gets thrown to the dogs. And so when you get thrown to the dogs, you come out different. It's like you go into the cinematic world, the movie Gladiator. They started those gladiators at 8, 9, 10 years old, basically fighting each other, beating each other up in the, to the brute.
The Spartans, they took them away from their mothers when they were 7 years old to train for war. Yep.
Exactly. And that's kind of similar to what Justin went through. Like, we just got you out of Oregon. We drafted you first round. You're going to probably sit the shelf for half of the season, if not the whole year, because we got I forgot Tyrod Taylor. By the way, 2 minutes go by. We need you right now on the field to start.
Our doctor stabbed our quarterback in the
lung. We're gonna tell you what happened, but we need you in the game now, like, to call plays, to execute to perfection. And so when you're put in that situation where you have no time to think, your brain, everything, your body, you just go for it. And so now what we're seeing, fourth year, where he is now progressed. That's why you're saying what you're saying. Where is he coming from? Where is he from? Another planet? Yeah, he is definitely 100% on a different level, because he had, in his development as a young quarterback, and he's still young, he got the express pass to elite quarterback because he was thrown to the dogs day one. Literally day one.
Well, he's just got elite, and he's got incredible. And his physical traits are crazy, and his mindset, like, he just doesn't seem to. It just doesn't seem to bother him, and that's the hardest thing about playing court. I mean, honestly, and all these things we can talk about, right? Especially the cerebral part of the game is really the most important part. We always talk about the physical attributes and everything, but like, if you don't have it upstairs, especially the thinking man's position like a quarterback, like, it ain't gonna happen. And we don't give them enough credit for the way he handles his business. I'm talking about all of these guys, the way they handle their business. But it'll be interesting next week, man. We got Baker. He just came off that big win. That was for one night. I was a Baker Mayfield fan. That was fun to watch. But this, we'll do a preview of the Rams game coming up on Thursday, bro. But I don't know, man. Like, watching tape on Baker is a joy. It's a true joy, because every snap's like a like a where'd he go, like a Keystone Cops moment.
Yeah, he plays that kind of football. He just go. He's kind of like Brett when Brett was young.
Yeah, he's headbutting people. Like
Yep.
he's smart enough to put the headband on, but then he's headbutting dudes with the. I'm like, I like you, man. I can't help but like you. Like he would have been money in the movie The Program. Like he looks like he started the program.
100%.
That's who he actually. That's probably who. That's who he. Like if you asked him like, hey man, who'd you grow up just wanting to be like? He'd be like, whatever I do, the dude in The Program. That's me.
That's me.
Gunslinger. I lay out in the middle of the street with oncoming traffic. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up that guy's name for the next show. All right, man. Let everybody know, Mike. Great show today. Good job with everything as usual. Let everybody know where they can find you on social.
Yeah, Mike68 on Twitter, TikTok, Prostitute Perform on Instagram. Check the show out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Prostitute Perform.
Nice. And you can find me on Amon Green 30 Twitter and Instagram, all one word, and also on Amon Green's Gamers Lounge on YouTube. Check me out, talking about video game world and do all that fun stuff in that space. I'm flying out to Vegas, where stopping grounds for the Esports Awards tonight. So I'm flying to Vegas, and the Esports Awards event is tomorrow, sponsored by Lexus. So I'm gonna take some photos, have a good time, network, meet with some people in the game space.
Where is it at?
It's at Resorts World, the new hotel they just put up I think 2 years ago or a year ago. That's where the gala is at, and then I'm staying at Crockford's. I've never heard of it, but
you should stay at Flanny's house.
Yeah, the team I'm with, Control, they put me up in the hotel, so I'll reach out to Flanny. I got his number. So, all right, Mike, man, have a good rest of your week. See you Thursday.